From the beautiful Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, this is the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. We take questions from anyone in the dental profession and discuss what it takes to win not only in dentistry, but in life. Business, leadership, relationships, parenting, health and wellness, money management, nothing is off limits on the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. I'm Jason Tanoory, your host, and have over 20 years of experience to pull from. Learn from my mistakes and let me help you collapse time so you can become the best version of yourself. Yo, welcome back to Dental Lighthouse Podcast. Dr. Jason here. That's like the third intro that I just did because I have been taking a break from the world of recording. I decided to shut it down for a couple of weeks so I could be fully present with my family for the holidays. I have three older kids that came home for Christmas. Still two Rugrats at home that I need to get out of the house, but that's a story for another day. But it was a much needed break, and I feel rejuvenated, and I feel excited about 2026 and the hope of giving you guys even better content, more applicable content, relevant content, just that'll collapse time for you guys and help you become better leaders, better owners, better clinicians, better bosses, stuff like that. So the first podcast that we're going to do is actually a recording of a coaching call that I did I think it was yesterday. So we're taking you behind the curtain, and I don't share all of my coaching calls, obviously, as podcast recordings, but the ones that I think really land with a majority of my listeners, and I think you guys can benefit from a sneak peek behind the curtain, I like to share with you. So this is a young dentist who just a stud, right? Just an absolute stud, takes everything that I teach him and just applies it at 100%, right? So he's luckily he's heeding some of the advice that I've given him, and he's blowing up. He single location did about 3.5 million last year, and as you'll hear in the recording, has goals to increase to 4 million, a little north of 4 million for 2026. But he has enough self-awareness to realize that the wheels are going to start to come off unless he really doubles down on leadership, on developing relationships or enhancing the relationships with his team, with his doctors. He has a team of about 17 or 18 people. So today's call was a lot of him basically saying, okay, Jason, I'm ready. I'm ready to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm ready to start these one-on-ones. I'm ready to really take my relationships with my team to the next level. Be honest with them, be kind with them, all of the 8 servant leadership principles. So, how do I do it? How do I take the first step? It's one thing to say in theory, I know I need to have a history of one-on-ones, and I know I need to coach up my team and stuff like that, but it's a completely other thing to actually do it, right? So in this call, we start to unpack what you should do. What are the first steps? What are your expectations? Should these be done monthly? Should they be done every other month? Should they be done every quarter? How do we avoid the trap of people asking for raises because they haven't had a chance to sit down with the doc in a while? So I just thought it had a lot of value. It's only a half-hour call. After editing, it'll probably be even less than that. But I just thought it'd be valuable for you guys to hear, to get a peek behind the curtain about some of the intimate conversations we have with some of our coaching clients. So hopefully you find value in it. If you have any questions or concerns about me, or you want any resources that we mentioned on the call, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our contact information, my email and phone number are on our website, thedentallighthouse.com, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Today's a great day to get started on the new year.
No doubt. What are you up to? You in your car?
Yes, in my car. I'm just hiding in my car because everybody would want me if I'm in the office.
I hear that. I hear that.
I already got pulled like 6 times this morning. So, um, yeah, I know we talked about the deep work versus shallow work, and then we talked about the mill. We pulled the trigger. They delivered on the 31st, but they just come back. They need to come back for install. So I have the
Okay.
electrician run a wire now. Literally just got here, so it's a little late.
Okay.
Um, I was able to listen to the most recent podcast, with Blake, Dr. Hamlin, and it was really helpful. Kind of like condensed their time in terms of where they are developmentally. And I think leadership wise, I still need to get there. And I really like your cliff notes for the leadership part, the most recent one, which I do need to work on that a lot this year. In terms of time, and that's another story. I really got to kind of sit down and plan out the day. I got the template that you sent me. I was wondering if you can still I guess, should I just book with Bill a coaching session in terms of the milling unit? Sorry, my mind is a
Yeah,
little
I could.
scattered.
No, so a couple things. So you're breaking in and out a little bit. So I'm not sure if it's your signal.
Okay.
I don't think it's my signal. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Um,
Okay.
as far as the mill, yeah. I mean, if it, I don't have that mill, so I would be I would be underqualified to try to advise you on the best way to implement it. Um, I can walk you through scheduling protocols and stuff like that based on my history of in-office milling. But as far as that specific mill, I think it's more advantageous for you to schedule some time with Bill.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So my question comes down to, the leadership. So I know it's just to be kind with them, to have that weekly meeting, so it's not like end the year and you're going over with your football player, like, hey, game 2 of this season, you did this and this. But to get started, I feel like there's an expectation of, hey, I'm meeting for this and, I'm expecting a raise. It's like, how do I rip that Band-Aid off, and how can I prepare to go into this meeting like with my best intention, and like how do I just get started?
Yeah, yeah. Are you talking about doing one-on-ones with your entire team or just a specific group of individuals?
That's a great question. So I don't have the leadership team set up yet. Because right now my manager left this past July and we haven't found the right fit to replace her. We got someone who is going through the training, but I don't know if she's the best material. She came from a smaller office that maybe did like 1.5. So last year we ended at 3.6. This year, our goal is to grow 20%. So we're looking at 4.4. To break it down, how to get there would be doing what we do, but 2 additional things. So 2 additional things. The first is having my part-time associate who's only here 2 days to go to full-time. So 2 additional doctor days. So that in terms, ideally, we should be able to add him full-time. Should be able to add like 50,000, for the month, and then also adding a full-time hygiene. So that would give us that 20% growth if I go down the numbers.
That's great.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that's great that you have a strategy to get to that 20%. Most people just say, I want to grow 20%, but they don't really understand how they're going to do it. So if bringing on an associate 2 days a week and then bringing on a full-time hygienist, if you run the numbers and that gets you there, then that's awesome.
Yes. I'm having more meeting with my associates, but I think I got to do better. I think I had a call with Mark. He wanted me to record their exams and record my exams, and just to see what things we're missing, the body language, things that we can do better in terms of that. And so now it comes down to the front team. Sorry. So the front, one of the front joined. She's going through the rotations. She's going through the front. We are seeing some things that she can work on. I'm going to have her rotate through the back so she knows the back because she was an assistant for 14 years. And, we got to see if she's the right fit for manager training to be. So that's number one. But in the terms of the rest of the team, I know some of them are due for a raise, and I don't want everybody to expect a raise, right? But how do I rip the Band-Aid off on doing those one-on-ones? Like, how do I prepare? Because I want to do it, and my wife, she does all the front. She's like, I'm not ready to do this yet. Like, is there a way to just do it?
Yeah. I think it's a great question. So I think you realize that it's not sustainable for you to do all of the one-on-ones for an office your size. I mean, if you're doing 3.5 or 4 million, I'm assuming you have close to 20 team members. Is that safe to say?
Yes. 17 include all the doctors.
Yeah. So it's not sustainable for one person to be responsible for 17 one-on-ones. So if you don't have a leadership team developed yet or set in place, then I would remanage your expectations, and maybe instead of having it done monthly, you do it every other month or every quarter. Something is better than nothing. So I just don't want you to get to the point where you're going to be responsible for 17 one-on-ones every month, and you're just checking a box to do it. You're like, okay, I did it, but it's not really a true engaging conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So decide if you're going to go every other month, or maybe in January you do them all, and then you tell the person that it's going to be every other month or something along those lines, until you and I can work together for you to develop a leadership team that can take some of these responsibilities off your plate. So that's the first thing. As far as the second thing, in terms of compensation, do you have a designated time where people know that they're going to be evaluated from a compensation perspective, or is it very random?
Very random. So hygiene, I have a hygiene lead. She's good. She's been there for 5 years. She's managing 3-4 hygienists. I don't have an RDA lead because everybody's new. The front manager, which she was gone last July, but my wife has been managing, pretty much the front. And in terms of compensation, we haven't touched up on that. And I think that's one of my to-dos, like having a tier system. Like, hey, if you're at this point, like say $18, $20, $22, $25, and these are like what I'm expecting of the duties that you will be, would that be something to start out with?
Yeah, you can.
That's good.
What I would encourage you to do is proactively let the team know that there's going to be a specific time every year where their compensation is evaluated. When you go to something like that, you stop getting the, people knocking on your door and saying, hey, can we talk about a raise, or can we talk about compensation or something like that? So in our practice, we do monthly one-on-ones, and every June, we do the monthly one-on-one, and we do an official compensation review. So that's really worked well for us because everybody knows that their pay will be evaluated in June every year. And we can talk about the details another day, but we empower the team to do their own research and come to us with why they should get a raise. So we want them to look at what fair market value is for their position in the market they're in. We want them to come to you and say, look at all the skills that I've developed, or all the CE that I've taken, or whatever. So if I were you and you feel like that's a good strategy, I would proactively tell the whole team from a position of vulnerability. I would say, hey, one of my goals this year is to really double down on the relationship with all of you guys. And I feel that one of the best ways to do that is a series of one-on-ones where you and I can really start to talk about, how you're doing, what's working, what's not working. And then my plan is after a couple of these one-on-ones, we will have a one-on-one that has a compensation review built in. So again, if you're open to doing it once a year, then I would pick a month. Maybe it's April, maybe it's May, and you'd have a couple one-on-ones under your belt where you're starting to remanage expectations for people, and you're letting them know, what winning looks like versus what winning doesn't look like. And then after 2 or 3 of these one-on-ones, you could roll into a compensation review and say, hey, you've been killing it. Everything we've been talking about in the one-on-ones, I'm so impressed that you've done ... You deserve a raise of X% or something like that. So that's personally how I would handle it. Again, I love to come at these situations proactively and from a place of vulnerability, saying I have not been fair to you. You need to know if you're winning or not. You need to have me be totally invested in the relationship. And I'm coming to that realization now. And because of that, my 2026 resolution is to really double down on one-on-ones on the relationship and make sure that you guys are aware that there's a scheduled date for compensation reviews and stuff like that. So that's how I would personally handle it, but everybody's going to do it their own way.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, this is great. This is I think it's really good that, it's like New Year's. You can use that as a kind of like to-dos.
Yeah. And I just developed a vision document for associates. So if you've never done one-on-ones with your doctors or they've been haphazard, then I can have Kenzie send you this vision document. It should take 20 to 30 minutes for your associate to fill it out, and then have them bring it to the one-on-ones. It'll give you a really good jumping off point for discussion.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Is it something like, hey, what's your goal clinically? What's your goal business? And what's your goal life? Kind of like.
Yeah. Yes. And it's, yes, those things for sure. And then it's, what is one thing that's going on in the office that you feel we should change? Or what's one thing going on in the office that you feel is working really well? Where do you envision yourself in 3 years? Is it continuing to be an associate? Is it partner discussion? Is it at a different office? Just in an effort to make sure that, we're on the same page with what you are really wanting out of this relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I adapted the end of day, that you had, which I really like. I think the 2 things is like, hey, what's one thing you coach somebody like assistant wise today? What's somebody that you compliment somebody that fit, your culture and your core values.
Right.
And I think like making sure they're calling all their prescriptions.
Yeah. I think I talked about that on a podcast last month where, we have the system in place and it's still broke. Right. So you always have to keep people accountable to the system.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, same thing. I think that vision document will be great. I started with a book club with my doctors. But yeah, we gotta be more on it. Just the regular cadence.
What book are you guys doing?
Influence by Sheldon.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
I feel like the hard part for me is like follow up, and then like you said, the clarity is kindness. So in terms of follow up, how do you get yourself to, do the follow up, have that hard conversation?
You mean follow up if someone like is not meeting a standard, or what do you mean?
Yes. Yeah. If someone's like, how do you just like pull someone, just like, how do you just do it?
Yeah. So let me get a little bit more context. Give me a situation where you have a standard, someone's not meeting it, and you need to have a conversation. So I can understand exactly what you're asking.
Okay, absolutely. So, for example, like an assistant didn't get stuff, I'll give them a stare, but I don't want to berate them in front of patient. But end of the
Yeah.
appointment, I'm running to the next one, the hygiene and all that. Sometimes you forget. So, do I just grab a post-it, write it on there? So, end of the day, I can just grab the assistant to the side, so I'm not like telling them in front of the patient, so it doesn't, have a bad patient experience, but still able to hold that standard for like next time. Um,
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I love it. That's a classic example, right? So I applaud you having enough self-awareness to not berate the assistant in front of the patient. What I do in those situations like that is I want to have a minute meeting. We call them into the store minute meetings. And I want to do them either at the end of the morning or at the end of the day, worst case scenario. And in an effort to keep myself accountable, I will tell the assistant after the appointment, hey, I need 2 minutes to check in with you before you go to lunch. So come to my office for just a quick 2 minute conversation. Because as soon as you get that out in the open, all of a
yeah.
sudden now you're accountable for it, right? Versus
Okay.
versus in your head being like, I need to talk to her, I need to talk to her, I need to talk to her, and then you just forget to do it, or
Yeah.
the weekend comes, or what have you.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's the first part. And then the
Okay.
second part is the accountability framework that we've talked about a lot. Um, Depending on the situation, the first thing I'm doing is, hey, I noticed that for the root canal that we were doing, 2 or 3 pieces of equipment were not set up so I could do it smoothly. Like, help me understand what's going on there. Like what's that about? Because
Hmm.
it could be I didn't know that you needed those things out. And if that's the case, it's a training issue, right? So you have to be clear about that. It could be, B, yeah, I know that those things need to be out, but there wasn't any in the drawer. So that's a systems issue, right? So there's a stocking problem going on. And if she gives you like, well, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, then you say, it's a really big deal because of dot, dot, dot. So I'm constantly coaching up people to say, the person that you're having this minute meeting with needs to understand what the consequences of their behavior are. And I don't mean consequences like getting fired or suspended from bonus, but the consequence of setting up for endo, but leaving 3 key pieces of equipment, um, forgetting them means the appointment's going to take significantly longer than it should. It means an inefficient appointment for the patient. It means we look incompetent in front of the patient because you're having to get up and leave the room multiple times. And that's just not how we do things. So the reason that I really need these 3 pieces of equipment set up when we're doing endo is to prevent those consequences from occurring again. And then I'm always like, does that make sense to you? So that's a traditional accountability framework that we routinely have when someone's not doing a specific task. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think based on your like leadership quality, the honesty, because sometimes you just want to be the good guy. So you highlight the good, but you don't completely like say everything. So I think that's something I need to work on.
100%. So our definition of honesty is to tell the truth and be free from deceit. So just telling the truth is not all of it. You have to also be free from deceit. So if there's little things that you want to conveniently leave out, that means you're not being honest.
Yeah.
So the same situation
So
happened with that end of day checklist with my doctor, right? So as soon as it happened, I'm going to him the next day and I'm saying, hey, we had a patient waiting at the pharmacy for their prescription, and it never got there. They were pretty upset. They left a negative review. Let's just review the system. Are you aware that at the end of the day, you need to go through your end of day checklist, and one of those things is to electronically approve all the prescriptions? So there's only 2 answers that they can give you. One is,
right.
oh, I had no idea, right? And that's happened. So that's an onboarding issue. So you fix it right then and there. And then the second one is, I'm aware of that. Okay. Well, I need you to understand that if you're aware of the system and you don't actually execute on it, here are the consequences. We have a patient at this pharmacy that thinks we're incompetent. She's stood in line for 30 minutes and then she gets to the front and she doesn't have the medication, and then whatever other consequences you want to roll in. She left us a 1-star review, whatever else you want to say in there. So if someone's a good core value fit and they hear those consequences, then they're going to be like, you know what, you're right. That's my bad. I need to do something to make sure that I'm executing on this system every day. And with this guy, Ben, one of my doctors, I said, set an alarm on your phone. Set an alarm on your phone every day at 4:15. Their last patient's at 4 o'clock. 4:15 comes around. You want to hurry up and get out of the office because you want to get home. I get that. Your phone's going to go off and it's going to say end of day checklist. It takes 30 seconds to do it. But the repercussions of not doing it take tons of time and energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I'm in the office, I just drop a checklist on their keyboard, before they leave. That was my system, but I think definitely could be better. So that is great.
That system's okay. What we do is we have the end of day checklist laminated next to everyone's workstation, and they simply use a erasable marker. They put their name, they check everything, they put the date, they take a picture of it, and they send it to a private doctor channel that we have on Slack.
Okay. Got it. Yes, we use Slack too. Okay.
So assuming you have a doctor channel or whatever you're using for communication, it could be a private channel, it could be a non-private channel, but that's how we keep everyone accountable of doing their checklists.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I have my wife made all the checklists for the back and everything. And I think I need to actually physically, check it just so, hey, they know someone's checking. Because if someone's checking, then they're more likely to do it, right? To make sure it's getting done.
100%. So put it on them, right? So this is the new expectation, docs. We're going to put a laminated checklist or a regular checklist next to your desk. I need it filled out every single day, and I need it. Take a picture with your phone, upload it to Slack, so I know that you've done it. That's how I'm going to try to keep this system accountable. And again, the reason I'm doing this is because we've had a few instances where the end of day checklist wasn't done. This happened to the patient, and they got upset or ... The other thing that comes up with these end of day checklists is making sure that production's right. So as you know, when things get walked out and it's not correct, and then it gets submitted to insurance, if we don't identify that before the end of the day, it causes a huge headache. So that's another consequence of doctors not looking at their end of day checklist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then at the back end, because then I'm like looking at the pay report, I'm like verifying each payment, and then you're like, then you have to send to your biller to get everything corrected and get to the right doctor, and it is a pain.
Yeah, so that's it, and I preach that to my doctors all the time. Spend 20 seconds now doing the right thing, or else I'm going to have to spend 30 minutes of fixing shit in 2 weeks when I realized that something incorrectly was walked out and insurance paid on something that they shouldn't have paid on. Like, you're just creating so much more work for the next person in line when you don't do your job, when you don't check the box that you're supposed to. It just creates a ton of additional time and energy for other people on the team. Or like the pharmacy issue, it creates an upset patient, a negative review, and completely goes against what we're all about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. All right. I think I got a lot on my plate. So I think just to summarize, I think everything's really good. New year, new resolution. We're going to get the team, be vulnerable, just like getting on a one-on-one, setting up the leadership team. I think I'll ask that next month. So meeting them every month or every quarter. I'm going to get started on the one-on-one, getting them to a good cadence, setting up my leadership team, letting my team know, hey, just to be clear, it wasn't being fair to you. Want to have these one-on-ones, setting the expectation. And then at a certain time, then we can talk about a compensation, that month designated month, just so to be fair. And they do their research to bring to us what's fair, what they feel like is fair.
Yeah, I think that's a good system.
And then summarize, the second is the doctors, have a regular cadence, with the doctors. And then you're going to send me the vision documents for my doctors to fill out, and kind of just making sure, having a new system for end of the day protocol to make sure they're doing it. And then I double check everything. And last was in terms of how to have better EQ in terms of handling the correction in the moment. It's like, hey, putting the ball on the assistant, hey, I need a 2-minute check-in with you before lunch or before end of the day, and just making sure they come to me so we can go over the issue that I had in my mind. So I'm not holding it and I'm losing it, whether it's the next day or the next week. So it's not fair to them.
100%. You should be teaching this call, not me.
No. I'm just summarizing it. I gotta make sure.
No, you did. Oh, that's great. That's a great summary. And if you can start to implement that behavior, I think you'll be significantly better off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always the devil lies in the detail. Always just got to do it.
Amen, brother.
Get it done. So
yeah, no doubt.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Well, reach out if you need me for anything, and then let's schedule another call when you need me. Okay, bud?
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. You have a choice today. Choose to be a lighthouse. Lighthouses are powerful and steadfast. They are beacons of light for others to reference when life gets turbulent. Go out into the world today and become a lighthouse for someone. Give more than you get. True joy comes from serving others. Start today. I'm Jason Tanoory, your host. Thank you for listening to the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. For more information, podcast show notes, or links to anything that we have discussed today, please check out our website, thedentallighthouse.com. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to get on the show, please email us at podcast@thedentallighthouse.com.